You know, Moses, David, Paul. But what about that character from the Bible that almost no one remembers, but whose actions changed the course of history? Today, we'll introduce you to figures who have been overshadowed by the protagonists, but without the gesture of a single man or woman, nothing would have been as it is today. Halfway through the video, you'll discover who saved an entire city through a battle rarely seen in books, and only appears in one line. Let's start with Jephthah, a marginalized man, the son of a prostitute, practically cast out of his own home. He was the unlikeliest of heroes. But when his people had to face the Ammonites, he was also the unlikeliest to emerge as their leader. A rejected man who, because of his courage, delivered an entire people, but paid a price no one mentions. Jephthah isn't alone on this list. There's also Huldah, a nearly forgotten prophetess who appears only twice in the text, but whose words rekindled the faith of the entire kingdom under Josiah. Or Ziph, David's hiding place, mentioned only briefly, but which was the turning point for his survival, and consequently for the formation of an entire dynasty of kings. Each name represents an invisible turning point in history, a discrete presence with a monumental impact. Halfway through the video, you'll discover who silently influenced a decree that changed the fate of an entire kingdom. According to biblical historian Dr. Elias Montero, characters who appear only once or twice in sacred texts often carry more weight than they appear. Many of them are behind the scenes of major events, shaping royal decisions, prophetic trajectories, and even spiritual wars. An example of this is Ebed-Melech, an Ethiopian almost invisible in the records. He risked his own life to pull the prophet Jeremiah from a cistern where he would slowly die. If not for this anonymous act, Jeremiah's prophecies would not have come down to us as they have. Archaeologist Ruth Nazar comments, Ebed-Melech is the kind of figure who would have been completely forgotten if the records were not so accurate. But his name is immortalized as someone who saved the prophetic voice of a generation. And there's more, a character who only appears once, but who, with a single sentence, prevented a massacre. And you'll meet him now. Remember Abigail, the woman who faced a furious king armed only with words? She not only prevented David from making a deadly mistake, a revenge massacre, but also became a symbol of quiet wisdom. What few people know is that if Abigail hadn't intervened, David would have stained his name with blood before he became king, and perhaps never ascended to the throne of Israel. And she's not even the most forgotten character on the list. Because there's another name, a name that almost no one remembers, but whose decision directly affected the birth of Jesus. You'll understand why in the next excerpt, and when you hear it, you'll ask yourself, why doesn't anyone talk about this? Now, get ready for a name that almost no one mentions, but without which salvation history might have taken a completely different course. Jotham, son of Gideon, a man who appears in a moment of chaos, climbs a mountain, and proclaims an enigmatic parable about trees choosing a king, a symbolic speech, but one that, centuries later, echoes in the New Testament in discussions of leadership, false messiahs, and legitimate authority. Jotham's speech wasn't just political, it was prophetic, and those who heard it understood. But what about today? How many people even know he existed? Now look back, a rejected man who won the war, a forgotten woman who prevented a massacre, a foreigner who saved a prophet, and a voice that warned an entire nation before disappearing. None of them had temples built. None became heroes in the movies. But they all changed everything. What if I told you that there are even more obscure characters who do not even appear with a name, but who directly influenced Jesus' miracles? This is what we will reveal in the next video, the invisible characters who were present at the miracles of Jesus. Turn on the reminder now, because you won't want to miss this one.